you always looking?
That's how we do it. Yeah.
So drop timings this week. The drop timing, once again, one of my favorites is just drop whenever. Rezakiri doesn't walk around the arena at all.
Yeah, I don't even think he turns. I like kind of wanted to see if he turns at all to affect orbs. I'm pretty sure he's completely stagnant.
Yep, he's just laying on the ground sipping some Aether. And the only global cooldown is the Gary's, which doesn't matter. So just drop in whenever you're feeling it. Builds for the week both had the exact same build. This is a super sweaty, low HP build. It's 6 Berserker, 6 Conduit, 6 Predator, 6 Rage, 6 Rage Hunter, 3 Cunning, 3 Overpower. I would like to point out that this build is specifically made for armor plus 15. If you're rocking anything less than plus 15 armor, you should take out one of the Berserkers and put in Wild Frenzy just to give you that little bit of extra HP.
I go for that big old high roll for the 6 cunning.
Yeah. Yeah, you want to do 6 cunning instead of Wild Frenzy?
Yeah, just get crazy, you know, just see what happens.
I would love to see someone do it. So the point of this build, we can talk more about it in strategy, but you're not rocking Discipline, but you're still rocking the low life package. And the point is that you have to get hit on the very first hit and get below 20% HP. That's the only way this build works.
It's honestly better than the Rift, at least for the strikers. Some of the other weapons like Hammer and Sword, and I'm sure a few others I don't know off the top of my head. The Shroud unfortunately has the power slot instead of tech in the weapon.
Mm-hmm.
But strikers have the technique slot, which is good, and it makes a lot of sense when I tested and I saw I could get that low, because even the attack speed you lose, like Cunning's kind of a dead cell, it's whatever. The attack speed you get for being that low off your Blitz tonic makes it to where it's only 3.5% less overall than the Wild Frenzy and Rift, because you get an extra 9 from the Blitz for being that low, and the Wild Frenzy is only 12.5, so it's virtually the same attack speed, except you don't have to sit there and restack Rift Orbs every time he moves. And your Pred's up, I think, pretty much by clap 1 with the way he works.
The unique effect, of course, of the Shroud weapons for 50% bonus damage is huge. It's probably the biggest damage bonus in the game other than Tragic Echo. I'd like to mention that the 3 Overpower in this build is kind of just thrown in there just because there's really nothing else good to have in here.
Exactly, and because the good thing about the Pengar Lantern with the strikers is the fact that he will just sit there and eat it, because it works as it's like a column, you know?
Yeah, it has infinite height to it.
Yeah, when he's up there in lasers forever, like a lot of times you can get with the Atonic, you can drop 2 Pengars under him, like primed by the time he goes up.
Yeah, exactly. He spends a lot of time moving around, but a lot of that movement is actually up and down, and Pengar Lantern doesn't care about that. It's one of the things that I think is really strong on this map. The only downside of the Pengar Lantern, I think, is the Frost proc can come at a really bad time. It can actually extend the time he's actually unhittable.
Exactly. I had a few where like I'm used to, you know, getting the timings, like if I want to like catch up to him after orbs and I'm pre-comboing an uppercut heavy combo to hit him when he comes down. I had a couple runs where, you know, that timing gets thrown off and I end up hitting air because he's chilled and he takes a little longer than I'm used to.
I definitely got some air claps because of that as well, and also the slams because of his Frost slow.
Yeah, the chill can throw you off sometimes if you're not like paying attention.
Yep, it's kind of a double-edged sword. Potions for the week, it's once again just the classics: the Aether Drive tonic, the Frenzy tonic, the Blitz tonic.
Yeah, it's solos. At least most weapons solos, I'd say, outside of like, you know, the oddies like Pike and whatnot, it's almost gonna be those 3. The only time Assault's even ever worth it is like if it can get you a stagger that is earlier, that's overall like situationally better, which is very rare, or maybe even sometimes if you can get a second stagger with an Assault, then it might be worth it. But
I think it'd be so hard to get a second stagger with Assault tonic.
Yeah, it depends on the trial. That's why most of the time it's honestly just gonna be Aether Drive.
Yep, I would agree. Viable weapons for the week. I think this is actually probably one of the weeks that has pretty few viable weapons for sub 3.
Yeah.
Strikers obviously, Hammer obviously, Chainblades, you think?
I don't know. Honestly, chain blades, maybe. I might do a chain blade run to see, but possibly.
I think chain blades are actually like surprisingly bad about this trial.
Yeah, because I mean they can keep up with them, right? Like you can catch up to them a lot with chain blades because they're so mobile, but you don't have a way to like getting a stagger the chain blades at any point in the run is gonna be kind of tough, which means he's probably gonna flee. And when he flees, he uses so much time.
Getting that stagger at prime time when he's about to flee is just so strong. That's the reason that I think like strikers and hammers just so strong this week, is because they get those staggers at the perfect time.
Exactly. That's why also why I mean, aside from other reasons, assault is kind of a bad idea because that'll lead to an early stagger, which I've had happen just in normal runs where you stagger him before you can kill him and he just gets up and runs. Like I've had a few that did that. I had one where I got the stagger and break chain and it reset it to like 108, and somehow he was still like barely entered a quarter health, so he fled, and that just really throws off runs.
Strikers, you said yes. Hammer, we said yes. Chain blades, maybe. I think it's gonna be rough. Yeah. Pike, I would definitely say no. Pike is notoriously bad on Reza.
I think Maelstrom did a Pike run today and barely got a sub 5.
So one of the problems that Pike runs into issue with Reza is you can't wound the tail.
Yeah, probably the worst behemoth for Pike.
Yeah. So don't do Pike this week. Axe, I think you can do sub 4 and that's the best you can do. I don't think you can get sub 3.
Sword can get sub 3 though.
You think sword can?
Yeah, it has to be played well.
Alright.
Peters, maybe. Just because how long he is, full bore can shoot through him. Same way the Drask Lantern affects it. Like in normal hunts, if you're good at the Peters, you can full bore down the whole body, like use them smart. You can just chew through Reza.
I think definitely viable. I think the main problem you're going to run into is Reza fleeing. You're going to have to deal with it. I don't think there's any way around it.
Yeah, so he'll flee, which is kind of rough, but you know, since they are repeaters, you can still hit him. You get there, and you can hit him a little more when you normally couldn't because of how repeaters work when he's in the air. But what I think they get into trouble too the most is during the in-rage and stuff, the bubbles. When you get locked into bubbles with repeaters, that's kind of rough compared to other weapons.
Yeah, repeaters takes I think the longest time to get out of bubbles than any other weapon.
Especially if you didn't recently empower and like you're gonna run out trying to that can be kind of a nightmare sometimes.
Mistakes in your run, saw that I got an air clap, which is always hurtful, and so something I'd like to improve on. But other than that, I think the run was pretty decently good. I think I had a pretty bad break timing though. I broke it on the Karma Breaker, and so I kind of like flew through his head. Lost a little bit of time, but honestly, it was all pretty good. I had pretty good RNG, honestly. Pretty happy with it.
And then I know in mine, I had a viable start to use, but the worst one, which is where he does lasers. Because what you have to do in that instance, what I did is time it. Like the only way to recover from that is to get hit by the slam for your shroud and time it by getting a mantra as you get hit. That's the only way to even make that recoverable at all. But it's still a significantly worse start because you miss out on so much damage opportunity when you're recovering from the knockdown. Getting blind when I staggered him and stuff was rough because I ended up focusing another claw instead of head, so I didn't get a break. And at one point, this is the one that I saw that really hurt me the most when I watched it, was he fled not too long before the stagger and the kill. He fled and I had all my mantras but my heavy, and I used them lasers and I sprinted up there and tried catching up and tried to recover my get my heavy to get the clap, and my mantras ran out before I could get it. And halfway to him, a Gary spawned. I should have just LL'd the Gary while he was doing lasers to refresh my mantra duration. I saw that and I just immediately thought, why didn't I just do a light combo on him on my way to Reza?
Strategy inside the arena. This trial is very brawly. Punch him as much as possible, deal much damage to him, try to survive.
And try to hit everything that's not tail as much as possible.
The sweat build that we mentioned earlier with the shroud weapons, you want to tank a hit as soon as possible. Either orbs or slams. Not lasers. Lasers will not do enough damage if you're running that build, and you want to get as low as HP as possible. I think on my run I got down to 18 HP. That's perfect.
Yeah, it's most people, I think, if they have the 15 armor, which is really nice, that's max blitz tonic.
That's the main strategy. But if you're not going for a top time, I wouldn't bother with a build like this. I would actually go with a pretty tanky build. This week is not going to be super competitive with the people. I think you can do just fine with something with Iceborne or Toughness or something like that.
Especially in groups, like for like sub threes or board times is what you're looking for. Dying in this trial is really detrimental, like extremely, because of the way it works. You get the bubble, so it adds some time to revive you or get you up because you got to break out of it. And then in addition to that, I mean, the way he's shooting orbs and lasers, that can just troll whoever's trying to pick you up. So that's a huge thing for this trial for that type of stuff, is just not going down.
Just play safe, guys. Get those defensive cells out and just brawl. Top time for this week. So what do you think top time is going to be for solos?
Maybe you get around 110, maybe, possibly.
I was thinking about 115 conservatively, but I could see 110 if Dross Lantern is really doing that much damage as we think it is. Top times for groups.
I think you can get sub 1.
Really? You think sub 1?
Yeah, I was talking to I haven't pushed groups, like I said. I've done one group run, but talking to people I usually run with who have some of those top times, I was looking at what they were running and like comparing it to solos, and I think it can get optimized a little bit better, and you can get a sub 1.
I'm ready to see it. Top 5 for solos. What do you think?
We'll probably still be in the 120s.
I was thinking sub 120 actually.
You think?
Yeah. If we're going off the top times, going to be 110. I think sub 120.
See, I was figuring like 5th place might be like in the 120s, and other than that, sub 120. But if possible, I don't know.
Top 5 for groups, I think, is going to be, I think, sub 115.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe sub 110, but yeah, sub 115 sounds about right.
All right, and then top 100 times for solos, I'm gonna say just sub 145.
Yeah, sub 3, maybe like 240s to 220s, like mid to late 220s, just because it's still early in the week and there's already the times, you know.
I think it's a really hard week though. I don't know how much people
it is. I think it is. I agree with that. I'm just thinking, me being optimistic, I'd say like late 220s, like 226, 227. I think at least around like 230s, 240s at a minimum. Groups might get to like 140s, 130s.
I was going to say 145. I think the grouping between 145 and 2 minutes is super close.
It's huge. I actually saw that right after I made my statement. I saw that because 145, I think, is 39.
Wow.
The fastest 140 or 145 is 35th. The slowest is 39th. Yeah.
60 teams between 145 and 2 minutes. Yeah, so I think 145 is pretty conservative. I think it could get a little bit lower than that, but I don't know. It's getting less than 145 is really hard, but also getting below sub 2 is not that hard. So I think 145 is a safe bet though.
Yeah, probably. I agree with that.
Interesting developments.
What's up, man?
Jurassic Lantern does more damage, and it can beat Hammer. So Frugal counted his damage numbers on his Hammer run. You know, he counted all his damage that was from Hammer swings, and it was out of Reza's 120,000 HP. He saw 90k displayed. So that means 30 came from the Jurassic dude.